Welcome to the No Limits Podcast, where limits do not exist, where you can create cash flow, equity, and real freedom with the power of real estate.
3, 4. Now, we will begin.
Welcome to the dojo. This is Todd Toback, and welcome to the No Limits Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the different kinds of deals and how to exit them for maximum profit. So before we hop into the content, if you have not shared this show with someone who needs to hear it, will you do me a favor? Will you copy the link to this show and text it to 3 or 4 of your colleagues or partners or someone who you know needs to hear this content? The show is starting to really get some traction and we want to build on that. And I promise you, we will continue to release new content and also add some new real estate rock stars who are also going to help make you more money in their respective niches. So real excited about that. And thank you for sharing and reviewing the podcast on iTunes. So let's talk about the different kinds of deals and how we can make more money together. All right. So whenever we lock a house up under contract, right, we find that motivated seller, we're back to the fundamentals, and we are able to have them sign a contract, right? There's this big moment where you've been working and you've been following up and you've been using the sales techniques, hopefully from the No Limit sales system that I've been talking about that. And by the way, if you want to know more about that, go to nolimitsalessystem.com. But where a lot of people leave a lot of money on the table is the back end of the deal, right? They exit the property the wrong way. They don't put any thought into how they're going to sell this for maximum profit. There's an anxiety and a rush to sell this property as fast as humanly possible, right? They don't want to lose the deal. And I can tell you that the numbers here are completely game-changing. Right? Pretend like you are a newer real estate investor and your first year you do 12 deals. And those 12 deals, you rush to sell the deals and you leave approximately $12,000 to $20,000 on the table for each deal. You will go from making $120,000 if you were averaging 10K to possibly earning up to $300,000 if you exited the correct way, right? And it's not any harder to exit the correct way. It takes patience. It takes foresight. It takes critical thinking. It also takes a game of playing chess instead of checkers, right? That's one of the things I really, really wish for you is that you want to play chess instead of checkers. You want to think strategically. Start to think like a business owner. And that's something I talk about with a lot of my private consulting clients, right? I said, listen, we got to slow down here and you have to keep that hustle. But now we've got to start to think like a leader, right? And a business owner and someone who makes their money and time and resources work for them. By the way, if you are interested in private consulting, I do this for the right people. You have to already be doing deals. You already have to be successful and you have to be easy to work with. You can check out more at nolimitrealestateinvesting.com/consulting. nolimitrealestateinvesting.com/consulting. Just a warning, you do have to apply and not everyone is accepted. So let's go back to the deals. So there's your standard fixer, right? We lock up the property and now you have a contract, right? Remember now, instead of rushing to sell this as fast as humanly possible, we're going to slow down and maximize profit here. So your standard fixer, this is the house that needs work, right? There's lots of stuff wrong with it, right? It's got leaks out, everything's outdated, stuff is broken, possibly needs a new roof, but nothing that's really scary about this house, right? Cash buyers love these types of houses. You're going to have lots of competition for these things. And this type of house, we either stick right on the multiple listing surface as is, or we sell to our cash buyers list, creating a frenzy. Either way, though, you want to create as much competition as possible by either sticking on the MLS or having a huge cash buyers list that you have people compete, or both of those, by the way, and you have people compete for the highest price. Now, these houses normally don't qualify for financing because of all the stuff that's wrong with them, right? So we don't try to sell them to a retail buyer, something that I'm going to talk about here in some of the other strategies, right? And there's nothing that we can easily do, okay, to increase the value. So if you have the standard fixer that's got nothing really scary, that's easy to fix, right? And it won't qualify for financing, we're either going to stick it on the MLS or we're going to send it out to our cash buyers list, but we're going to create a feeding frenzy and create a competition for the property to drive up the price. At least that's what we're doing in this market, right? This market's very, very hot. And if something changes, then I will update this episode. But right now and the foreseeable future, I see it looking like this. All right. Number 2 is the scary as hell with an easy fix. Okay, scary as hell with an easy fix. All right. So there are some houses out there that have something going on that's really scary to most cash buyers, to retail buyers, even to other investors, right? But for some reason, you kind of look at it with a clear eye and say, you know what, I can handle this. It's no big deal. And if I handle this, I can make an extra 35K in addition to, your normal 20, 25, 30K profit. Okay. So I always look for these opportunities because this is where you could make some real money. Let me tell you a story about one of the houses that this has happened to us on. So in El Cajon, California, a few years ago, we had a house that was quote unquote near a dump site. Okay. When I mean by a dump site, that's what the previous owner, kind of mentioned that it was next to its property. But really, there was I think some kind of newspaper factory or something, and they were burning newspapers, right? And so the lead from the newspaper, burned over there at one point, and someone had created some kind of issue about it. Well, long story short, we did some research on this, and the owner was suing the city, right? This was suing the city because he just wanted to, is a cash grab, meaning that he was trying to sue the city so that they would pay off his mortgage, and there was nothing to the lawsuit. But I knew that there was money here because everyone else was so scared of this lawsuit, and I knew that it was just a total cash grab by the seller, and the seller pretty much told me that. There also was some talk that the house could not qualify for financing because of this lawsuit. Well, I knew that as soon as we bought the house, right, it was agreed by the city and the owner of the property that the lawsuit would be settled at the close, right? And then as soon as that was over, then we can get a loan, right? So I bought this house for 200K, actually 185,000 in San Diego, if you can believe that, right? Because of this scary and an easy fix. And I knew as soon as we bought it, this lawsuit would go away. And I knew that because the settlement had already been written up, but was going to be filed again among the sale of the property because the city of San Diego was going to pay off this guy's mortgage, but no one else could fully understand that, right? Everyone just said, no way, no how, I'm not dealing with it, forget this thing. So long story short, I bought that property and I made $600,000 on that deal. I actually had someone else fund it and I split it with them. So I made about $300,000 on that deal, but it was a phenomenal deal, right? And I got rid of the scary so that I could sell this. And by the way, a great family bought that place. Everything was fully disclosed. Wonderful house, great area, and they are living in that thing happily. All right. You're going to see a lot of these types of deals. Now, that one is an extreme example, but let me give you some other examples that you can use in terms of scary. In terms of a house having a tenant who is not paying, right? If you have a house with an unperforming tenant who is not paying and the seller is going through an eviction, that is very scary to most potential buyers. They don't want to deal with that. For me, I'll handle that every single day of the week. And so we'll actually go and we will take down that house. Now, take down is slang for we're actually going to bring in funds to buy it. Now, you can use your own funds. You can also use a hard money loan from a hard money lender, or you can get a partner to do this for you, like I talked about this, but you do not need any money. You just got to be resourceful, right? Money has to change hands. It just doesn't have to be your money. And so you want to make sure on these types of deals that, number one, you're going to make your normal profit. And then you have to add a premium for your time and energy and risk and expertise. And the problem that you're going to solve. So if you can make an extra 25 or 30K on top of what you're already making, I'm going to suggest that you take a look at problems that you can solve and solve them. Another option would be hoarder houses. So sometimes you have a hoarder house and there's so much stuff in there, right? So much stuff that the buyers can't see what's behind the walls. They don't know if there's moisture. They don't know if there's foundation cracking. And so I would, for me, if I can get a smoking deal on this, I'm going to go back to the owner and I'm going to negotiate the best possible price that I can. I'm going to go deep because of this, right? I'll buy it and I'll completely clean it out, right? Get the dumpsters there, get it with the 48 hours with a good team. You can have a house completely cleaned, pull out all the carpet and, get out all the smelly. And even if the house needs a total fixing, right? If you have it clean and everything can be seen, you're going to add a lot of money to your bottom line because now you remove the scary and you remove the uncertainty and now someone else can fix it. Now, if you're a rehabber and you do this, great. Rehab the house yourself and maximize the profit. For us, we don't really rehab our houses. Sometimes we partner with other rehabbers in our business. And so that's an option that you can do, but get rid of the scary, right? With an easy fix. Let me talk about one more, which may get you excited. And that is maybe a seller who wants to live in a property for 4 or 5 months after you close. So many times you will get older people and their problem is they want to take their time moving, or they want to remove the uncertainty of finding a new place, or they want the money right now so that they can, look to think and digest where they want to go next. And so sometimes if the price is right and the terms are right, we will negotiate for a seller to live in the property for 30, 60, 90 days, sometimes 4 or 5 months after closing in exchange for a fantastic price for the house. We also negotiate, though, to hold back at least, and the word there is at least $25,000 of the seller proceeds, okay, in the escrow title account until they move out. Now, your buyer pool will shrink because many people don't want a house with a tenant in there. But if you're willing to negotiate the price that you need and you're willing to negotiate for the seller to leave some of their proceeds, right, the funds that they're going to get in escrow, or the title company, how depending on which state you're in, or the lawyer's office, until you release it, when they move out, you are going to greatly reduce your risk. And this is where the giant deals happen, right? You're removing the scary. So you can take down that house, right? Get a partner or get a hard money loan or use your own funds or call up your brother-in-law on your first deal and have him fund it like I did, right? Then you are going to be able to do a monster deal. By the way, you do not need to split deals, right? You can split it with 50-50. I did that on my first deal. But after that, I started giving people interest on their money with no payments. And then I used to pay all the interest on the back end in a lump sum. And some investors absolutely love that. There's more money out there than deals. There's so much money on the sidelines. So that is the seller who wants to live in a property. Now, let's talk about the next kind of deal. And this is the brand spanking new 1960s house. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because it sounds like an oxymoron. The brand spanking new 1960s house. Now, this is the house that you go in and everything is in amazing condition. It's got original carpet, original cabinets. It's got paintings of, from the 1960s or 70s or 80s with Bob Ross on the wall. I mean, everything is just pristine, right? And the house, is very clean, but it smells a little bit like, an older person's home. But I can tell you that these houses, the only thing that's wrong with them is that they need to be updated, right? The guy who lived in this house and the gal who lived in this house, the couple, the guy probably changed his own oil, right? And he has the log of his oil changes on the wall, right? He did all the repairs himself. He's got the outline of his tools that are hanging on his garage door, right? Everything's just so perfect. His lawn is completely manicured, right? And the jeans that he is wearing that are still from the 1970s are clean and pressed. So you may have seen one of these houses and you're chuckling underneath. And I could tell you one of the worst things that you could do is sell this house to a regular cash buyer who's going to flip it and fix it. The guy who is going to, or the gal, right? Or the company who's going to buy this house from you, or the end user, is looking at this and being like, wow, this is a clean house. and they will do the work themselves. I could tell you that most likely you are better off selling to a young couple, and watch out for any housing discrimination laws here. I'm saying to sell to the highest bidder, right? So the highest bidder is most likely going to be a young couple who's looking for their first house, who is going to move in and then start to do the rehab work themselves. Okay. So, we've done a couple of these houses here. If you sell this to your cash buyers list, you're going to leave some money on the table because they're going to, rip out everything and rehab it. And they're not going to pay as much because they're going to replace everything anyway. A end user will move into this house and do all the work themselves and, not have any labor cost, and they will pay close to retail on this. So there's very, very, very little risk for these houses. So what I would do is I would buy these houses, I would take them down, and I would put them on the MLS. Very, very, very important. Okay. Now, the last one that I'm going to talk about is a great house in great condition. So we just did a house like this in our South Florida market, and this house was just immaculate. Recently redone, a few little nicks in the wall, but I mean, the house was better than 95% of houses that I see out there that someone's not even selling, right? And the situation was that the owner just had to get out of town. It was a Friday and they wanted to close on a Monday. And so we were able to get that deal done. That deal we decided to take down and buy. And again, you want to have this money available either through a partner or a hard money loan. By the way, you can check out Lending Home, by the way. Lending Home's a great company to fund your deals, by the way. They're not sponsored by the show, but if you're looking for great hard money rates, that is a company that you can use to get money. So this house, we basically bought it and we got a cleaning person to clean it out for $300. We did a quick touch-up job on the paint. I think that was $2,300, and we turned around and we made a quick $75,000. Great house, great location, pretty much done. The owner just needed some speed. If we were trying to sell this to a cash buyer, right, we would have not gotten nearly the amount of money, right? So on these deals, again, take your time, right? We could have wholesaled that quickly and made a quick 20 or 30 on that deal, but we said, no, right? Let's slow this down. Let's take it down. In other words, buy it, right? And turn this deal from 20 or 30 to $75,000. Now, there's one more ninja technique that I'm going to talk about on the next episode, okay? What if you could sell your deals to actually a retail buyer who would pay way more than anybody else, right? And now this one technique is going to enable you to pay more than your competition. I'm going to talk about that on the next episode, so you got to listen to it. But if you have not shared the show, please go ahead and do that, right? Copy and paste the link and text it to 3 or 4 of your friends, and leave a review for the show. And I promise you, we're going to blow your socks off on this next episode. Talk to you soon.